Have you ever wondered why some people walk into your life quietly, almost unnoticed, yet leave an impact that feels eternal, not with noise, not with grand gestures, but with a stillness that reaches into the deepest part of your soul? Life has a way of surrounding us with voices, distractions, and choices that scream for our attention. Every day we're pulled in 100 directions, trying to figure out who belongs in our story and who is just passing through. But when God sends someone meant for you, the moment is never wrapped in chaos. It comes in silence. It comes in ways so gentle, you might miss it if your heart isn't listening. The world teaches us to look for love in sparks, in intensity, in the dramatic highs and lows that feel like passion. But destiny doesn't need drama to prove itself. What is real doesn't shout, it whispers, and those whispers are the very signs we often ignore because we're waiting for something louder, something more obvious. Yet the truth is, the quietest moments carry the deepest meaning. Think about it, hasn't the most life-changing clarity in your journey often come not in noise, but in stillness, that calm voice inside of you that no one else can hear? That is how God works, subtle, steady, certain. If you have ever prayed for the right person, you know the longing, you know the ache of waiting, the questions, the doubts. You wonder if it will ever happen for you, if the timing will ever align. But here's what most people miss. God's answers are rarely loud. They are felt, not forced. They are recognized not by the eyes, but by the heart. And when the right person is placed in front of you, it won't be because you chased them, begged for them, or forced the connection. It will be because something greater than you decided the time was now. This is why it matters to listen closely, because the people God sends don't come to just fill space. They come to shift the atmosphere of your life. They don't just enter your story, they transform it. And the signs of their presence aren't always big or dramatic. They're quiet, they're life-changing. They're the kind of signs that only your spirit can fully recognize. The kind that leave you asking, why does this feel so different? Why does it feel like peace when everything else around me is uncertain? There's a reason these signs are quiet. God doesn't compete with the noise of the world. He doesn't send his greatest gifts in wrapping paper that fades. He places them in your life in ways that require you to pause, to reflect, and to trust. And when you begin to notice, you'll see that these moments are more powerful than anything else, because they don't just catch your attention, they hold it. They don't excite you for a season, they anchor you for a lifetime. So ask yourself, have you overlooked the quiet? Have you been so busy waiting for a lightning strike that you miss the candlelight that never burns out? Because when you realize how God truly moves, you'll understand that what feels gentle is actually what is strongest. The person meant for you will not bring confusion. They will not add noise to your already crowded mind. Instead, they will bring clarity. They will bring balance. They will bring the kind of silence that feels safe, the kind that lets you breathe again. That's the beauty of destiny. It's not about chaos. It's not about making your heart race with fear or uncertainty. It's about alignment. It's about recognizing the person who doesn't just fit into your life. They complete the part of you that was waiting for them. And the reward of recognizing these quiet signs is immeasurable, because once you do, you stop questioning, you stop running, you stop doubting whether you're worthy of love, because you finally see that God's choice for you was never in question, it was only a matter of time. So stay with this thought, hold it deep in your heart. The signs that matter most are never loud. They are never about temporary sparks. They are about lasting fire. If you pay attention, if you dare to listen past the noise, you'll notice them. And once you see them, you will never mistake them again. Because when God sends someone truly meant for you, you won't have to force the connection. You won't have to chase after answers. The peace you feel will be the answer. The growth you experience will be the confirmation, and the alignment of your paths will be the proof that destiny has already spoken. That is the gift of the quiet signs. They are life, changing because they don't just tell you that you've met someone, they tell you that you've met the one. And when you know this truth, nothing will ever feel the same again. Peace, it is the first and most undeniable sign that someone has been placed in your life by God, not the shallow peace that comes and goes with circumstances, but the kind that remains even when storms rise. Think about it, most relationships are filled with tension, fear, or uncertainty. People second guess themselves, wonder if they're enough, or live in quiet anxiety about being abandoned. But when God writes the story, peace becomes the foundation. It's not about perfection. It's not about living without challenges. It's about knowing, deep down, that you are safe where you stand. Psychologists call it emotional safety, the rare place where you can show your true self without fear of rejection. Where you don't have to perform to be accepted. Where your voice matters, your feelings matter, and your soul can rest. And when you find that in someone, it is never by accident. It is not a random spark. It is God telling you, here you can exhale, here you are home. Notice how peace feels. It is calm, steady, and quiet. It does not demand attention, but you cannot ignore it. You can be sitting in silence with that person and still feel complete. You can face difficulties with them and still feel steady. You can have disagreements and yet never doubt the bond. That is what separates a God-sent connection from every other one. Because the right person does not add noise to your life, they silence the noise already within you. The world confuses intensity with love. It tells us that butterflies, obsession, and emotional roller coasters are proof that it's real, but butterflies fade. Obsession turns to fear. Roller coasters exhaust the soul. What remains after the thrill is gone? For most people, nothing. But with the one God chooses, what remains is peace. That unshakable stillness that says, even when the world falls apart, you are not alone. This kind of peace is powerful because it doesn't come from them alone. It comes from God moving through them. Their presence is a reminder that love should not feel like walking on glass. Love should not feel like begging to be seen. Love, at its purest, should feel like rest. That's why when you experience it, something inside of you changes. You stop doubting yourself. You stop competing with others. You stop questioning your worth. Because, finally, you are with someone who reminds you of the truth. You are enough. And here's the deeper truth: when God sends peace through a person, it isn't only for your comfort. It is for your strength. Life is heavy, full of battles that test the soul. On your own, you can fight, but you will grow weary. With the right person, you don't just fight, you endure. Their presence doesn't erase the storm, but it gives you the courage to walk through it. Together, you can withstand what once seemed impossible. Many overlook this sign because they are waiting for fireworks. But fireworks burn bright for seconds and then vanish into smoke. Peace, however, does not vanish. It endures. It grows stronger with time. It whispers to you every day, even in the smallest gestures. A kind word, a patient response, a steady hand when you feel like falling. These are the quiet ways God shows you. This connection is meant to stay. Ask yourself, when you are with them, do you feel anxious or do you feel at rest? Do you feel like you must constantly prove yourself? Or do you feel like who you are is already enough? Do you feel drained after being around them? Or do you feel renewed? The answers reveal everything. Peace is not something you can fake. It cannot be forced. It cannot be imitated. It can only come from something greater than both of you, a divine alignment orchestrated by God. And here's the beauty. Peace does not just change how you feel, it changes who you become. When your soul is at rest, you grow, you dream bigger, you love deeper, you stop holding back parts of yourself out of fear. This is why peace is life. Changing it creates space for transformation. It allows both of you to rise higher, not by tearing each other down, but by standing firm together. If you have been searching for the one God chose, stop looking only at appearances, at charm, or at fleeting emotions. Look for peace, because charm can deceive, beauty can fade, emotions can mislead, but peace remains. And when you find it, you'll know it's more valuable than anything else. Peace is the confirmation your soul has been waiting for. It is the quiet but undeniable voice of God saying, "Here is where you belong." This is why the presence of peace should never be underestimated. It is not weakness. It is not boring. It is the strongest foundation you will ever stand on. Because when storms come, and they always do, it will not be the sparks that save you. It will be the peace. It will be the calm assurance that no matter what life throws your way, you are standing with someone who is not just beside you by chance, but by divine choice. So listen closely. If their presence brings peace to your restless heart, hold on to that gift, cherish it, protect it, because in a world filled with noise, God's greatest blessings are often found in the quiet. And peace is the very first sign that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Peace is the foundation, but peace alone is not the end of God's design. When He places someone in your life, that connection does more than quiet your fears, it awakens your potential. The right person does not leave you the same. They do not shrink you or keep you small. They are placed in your path to help you grow, not through pressure, not through force, but through love that makes growth feel natural. Think of the difference between a seed buried in dry soil and a seed planted in rich, fertile ground. Both have potential, but only one will thrive. The soil does not shout at the seed. It does not demand that it grows. It simply provides the environment where growth becomes inevitable. That is what happens when the right person is sent by God. They become the soil that nourishes your soul, creating conditions where you cannot help but rise into the person you were always meant to be. Human connection is powerful because it shapes who we are becoming. Studies in psychology show that the people closest to us influence our confidence, our habits, even the way we think. If someone constantly criticizes you, you begin to doubt yourself. If someone dismisses your dreams, you begin to shrink them. But if someone believes in you, speaks life into you, and reminds you of your worth, your mind and heart begin to expand. This is why the wrong person can delay your destiny, while the right person accelerates it. Growth with the right person doesn't come through control. It doesn't come from manipulation or from someone trying to mold you into their image. Instead, it comes through encouragement. They see the version of you that even you sometimes forget exists, and they call it forward. They don't compete with you, they complete the space where your insecurities once lived. They don't demand you change, yet somehow you find yourself becoming better because of their presence. There is something divine about this kind of growth. It doesn't exhaust you, it energizes you. It doesn't leave you feeling like you're not enough. It leaves you excited to become more. That is how you know it's different, because growth by force feels heavy, like a weight you cannot carry. But growth inspired by love feels light, like wings you never realized you had. When God sends someone into your life, their influence is never destructive. They don't push you into compromise, they guide you toward alignment. They don't ask you to abandon your values, they strengthen them. They don't silence your dreams, they water them. Their presence is proof that love and purpose are not separate. They were always meant to walk together. And it works both ways. You don't just grow because of them, you grow together. Iron sharpens iron. Two souls aligned by God are not competing for light. They are reflecting it back onto each other. The result is transformation that could never happen alone. You become stronger, wiser, more courageous. You take risks you once avoided, because you know you have someone by your side who believes in your potential, even when you doubt yourself. This growth is not about perfection. You will still have flaws, struggles, and moments of weakness, but the right person will not use those flaws against you. They will not weaponize your struggles. Instead, they will stand with you in the process. Growth becomes a journey you share, a path where patience and grace guide the steps. And because of that, every lesson becomes lighter, every challenge becomes an opportunity, and every victory feels greater because it is not yours alone, it is shared. Imagine the power of walking with someone who reminds you daily that you are capable of more than you think. Someone who doesn't just speak to who you are today, but to who you are becoming tomorrow. That is the quiet but undeniable sign of God's involvement, because human love may settle for what is comfortable, but divine love always calls you higher. It doesn't let you stay in the valley when the mountain is waiting. It doesn't let you settle for survival when you were created to thrive. This kind of growth leaves an unmistakable mark. You find yourself braver, not because they force you, but because they inspire you. You find yourself more disciplined, not because they criticize, but because they believe in your potential. You find yourself more compassionate, not because they demand it, but because their example awakens something within you. Growth in this form is freedom. It is the realization that you were never meant to carry your destiny alone. And when you recognize it, you realize how rare it is, because many relationships drain more than they give. Many partnerships stunt more than they grow. But when you find the one sent by God, their very presence feels like an invitation to rise. And rising in love is not only about romance, it is about purpose. It is about stepping into the life God created for you with someone who sees what he sees in you. So look closely. If their influence makes you smaller, they are not from God. If their presence fills you with fear, they are not aligned with your purpose. But if they bring peace to your soul and growth to your spirit, you are standing in front of something sacred. You are standing in the middle of God's design, and when you recognize it, never take it for granted. Because a love that grows you without force is not ordinary, it is divine. Growth without force is a rare gift, but God's plan does not stop at growth. There is another layer, one that is impossible to explain with human logic alone. It is the undeniable alignment that happens when the right person enters your life. The timing, the circumstances, the way paths cross, it feels too perfect to be random, and that is because it is not random. It is orchestrated by something far greater than chance. Think about how many people you pass in a lifetime, how many faces you see, how many conversations you have, how many fleeting connections come and go. Out of billions, what are the odds that one specific person would show up at the exact moment your soul was ready to receive them? Logic will try to tell you it's coincidence, but your spirit knows better. There are no accidents in the hands of God. Every detail, every delay, every detour has been part of a design that leads you to the right person at the right time. This alignment is what many call divine timing. It is when the doors that were once shut suddenly open. It is when the paths that seemed broken suddenly connect. It is when the waiting finally makes sense because you realize why nothing else worked before. You are not late, you were not forgotten, you were being prepared, and the person meant for you was being prepared too. Alignment is not about luck. It is about preparation meeting God's perfect timing. Psychology calls this synchronicity the meaningful coincidences that feel too intentional to ignore. But in faith, we know it is God leaving fingerprints on our story. The random meeting, the unexpected conversation, the unlikely series of events that bring two lives together, these are not accidents. They are divine markers reminding you that heaven's hand has been guiding your steps all along. What makes this alignment powerful is that it goes beyond circumstances. It is not only about how you meet, but how your lives fit together once you do. The right person does not just show up. They align with your values, your purpose, your future. You discover that what you lacked they carry, what they lacked you carry. The pieces fit, not because you forced them, but because they were designed to connect from the beginning. This alignment brings a sense of flow. With the wrong person, everything feels like a struggle, misunderstandings, mismatched priorities, endless battles just to stay together. But with the one God chose, there is harmony. Challenges still exist, but they do not break the bond. Instead, they strengthen it. You don't spend your energy trying to make it work, because it already works. You simply spend your energy nurturing what God has already joined. That is how you know the difference between a relationship built on human effort and one built on divine alignment. Human effort tries to force the pieces. It bends, reshapes, and compromises until something fragile is built, only to collapse under pressure. Divine alignment requires no force. It simply flows. It doesn't mean there is no work, it means the work is meaningful because the foundation is unshakable. The beauty of alignment is that it silences doubt. When you see how everything connects, when you feel how naturally it fits, you stop asking, "Is this right?" and begin to say, "Thank you." Gratitude replaces anxiety. Confidence replaces fear, because when God aligns your life with another, it leaves no room for confusion. You simply know, not by logic, but by peace. This is why waiting matters. So many people settle for misalignment because they grow tired of waiting. They try to force doors open, force relationships to work, force timing that isn't ready, and in doing so, they trade God's best for temporary comfort. But alignment cannot be rushed. It requires patience, trust, and faith that what is meant for you will never miss you. When alignment finally arrives, it feels like destiny breathing. You look back at every heartbreak, every delay, every unanswered prayer, and suddenly it all makes sense. The waiting was not wasted. The pain was not pointless. Every step was leading here, and in that moment you realize God was never silent. He was always aligning. This truth should inspire you to trust the process. Because if you feel like you are still waiting, know this, your story is still being written. The alignment is already unfolding, even if you cannot see it yet. And when it comes, it will not feel like striving. It will not feel like confusion. It will feel like peace, growth, and alignment, all woven into one undeniable confirmation that this person was chosen for you. So trust the timing. Trust the alignment. Trust that when God sends the right person, everything will not just fit, it will flow, because what He ordains cannot be broken. And when you experience that alignment, you will know deep in your soul that it is not just love you have found. It is destiny. When alignment is undeniable, the final step is not to analyze it to death, but to trust it. Trust is where everything comes together. Peace can fill your heart, growth can elevate your soul. Alignment can make the path clear, but none of it matters if fear convinces you to let go. The truth is, many people miss what God has sent because they cannot trust what feels too good, too simple, too divine. They overthink, they doubt, they sabotage, but destiny requires faith. You cannot hold the gift and question it at the same time. Trust is surrendering to the truth that God knows what He is doing. It is letting go of the need to control every detail. It is believing that if He brought this person into your life with peace, growth, and alignment, then He also intends to sustain it. Trust is hard because it demands vulnerability. It asks you to open your heart to something you cannot fully prove with logic. But faith has never been about proof, it has always been about belief. The human mind is wired to protect itself from pain. Psychologists explain that fear of loss often outweighs desire for gain. That is why so many push away what is good. They are more afraid of being hurt than they are willing to be healed. But trust rewires that fear. It shifts your focus from what you could lose to what you could gain by stepping fully into God's plan. It reminds you that the risk of trusting is nothing compared to the reward of living in His will. And the reward is life changing. When you trust God's choice, you stop living with constant anxiety. You stop questioning every move, wondering if you are making a mistake. Instead, you rest in assurance. You embrace love not as something fragile to fear, but as something sacred to protect. Trust frees you to enjoy what you've been given instead of constantly bracing for it to disappear. Trust also transforms how you show up in the relationship. When fear rules, you hold back. You hide parts of yourself, you test, you question. You withhold love to see if they will earn it. But when you trust, you bring your whole self. You give freely because you know the foundation is not built on chance, it is built on God. That kind of openness deepens connection. It creates intimacy rooted not in dependency, but in confidence that the bond is divine. This is the moment many never reach. They recognize peace, they feel growth, they see alignment, but they stop short of trusting. And so they sabotage, they run, or they live half, present in something that was meant to transform their lives completely. But destiny cannot be halfway embraced. You must step fully into it. You must decide that the God who has guided you this far will not fail you now. And here lies the most powerful truth of all. Trusting God's choice is not only about a person, it is about your relationship with God Himself. When you embrace His gift, you are saying, I believe you know what is best for me. You are declaring that His wisdom is higher than your fear, that His timing is greater than your impatience, and that His love is deeper than your doubts. Trusting His choice honors the one who has been writing your story all along. If you feel the pull to run, stop and breathe. Ask yourself why. Is it because of red flags, or is it because of fear? Is it because you sense danger, or because you've never known love this safe before? Fear and wisdom feel different. Fear whispers doubt even when everything is right. Wisdom warns you when something is wrong. Learning the difference will set you free. And when the signs are clear peace that settles your soul, growth that feels effortless, alignment that is undeniable, then trust becomes the only response. Trust does not mean you will never face challenges. It does not mean everything will be easy. But it does mean that you will not walk through those challenges alone. It means that even when storms rise, you will have someone standing beside you, not by accident, but by divine design. That assurance gives you the strength to face anything. So if you have been searching for clarity, if you have been begging God for a sign, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the reminder that His voice is not always in the thunder, but in the whisper. That His confirmation is not always in the dramatic, but in the quiet. And maybe it is time to stop questioning and start trusting, because the longer you hesitate, the longer you delay the blessing that was already prepared for you. Let this truth settle deep into your heart. God does not send what is fragile, He sends what is strong. He does not send confusion, He sends clarity. He does not send chaos, He sends peace. And when He sends someone meant for you, He is not asking you to figure it all out, He is asking you to trust Him. Trust is the final act of faith. It is the key that unlocks the full beauty of the gift you've been given. When you choose to trust, you choose freedom. You choose to walk boldly into the life God has been preparing for you. You choose to stop holding back and start living fully in love that is safe, steady, and sacred. That choice is where transformation begins. That choice is where destiny unfolds. And that choice is where you finally step into the truth that what God has joined together, no force on earth can ever tear apart.